Hello everyone, we are the Group 1 and today we're going to discuss about prenatal development. So we have here objectives. Number 1, we have trace the course of prenatal development process that you went through. And number 2, explain the most common hazards to prenatal development. And number 3, we have become more appreciative of the gift of life manifested in an anti-abortion stand. So, lahat ng objectives is matatakal or madidiscuss sa mga ka-groupmates ko mamaya. So, and let's start to prenatal development. So, sabi dito, ang prenatal development is one of the important parts of development process. So, pag sinabing prenatal development is napakahalagang parts ng development process kasi dito nag-umpisa yung buhay natin. And sabi din dito, it is a process by which a baby is developing inside the mother's womb. So, ito yung process na yung baby is nag-develop sa loob ng tiyan or sa loob ng sinapupunan ng mga nanay natin or ng isang babae na buntis. And nagsisimula ito from the moment of conception. Simula ito from the moment of conception. Pag yung sperm ng lalaki, tapos yung babae is nag-meet, tapos then nag-continue, mag-develop. Yun, mag-continue, it continues until the baby is born. And kahit na yung baby is nasa loob pa ng sinapupunan is marami na nagbabago or marami nang nangyayari. In fact, ito yung stage na yung mga basic structures ng body natin is nag-uumpisa ng mag-form. Like yung brain natin, yung heart, yung lungs, even yung arms and legs nag-start mag-develop during prenatal development. So yun. And number 2 is human life begins at conception. Sabi, an unborn baby of 8 weeks is not essentially different from 28 weeks. From conception, the zygote, the embryo, and the fetus are undeniably human. Then dito na ay sabi, ang unborn baby daw na 8 weeks is walang pinagkaiba sa 18 or 18 weeks. Ibig sabihin na kahit magbago yung size nila, kahit 8 weeks pa yan or 18 weeks, is nag-develop na siya. Para pa rin na human being na siya. Tao na yun eh. Tao na kahit ano pang size ng ng baby sa tiyan or sa sinapupunan ng isang nanay. Kahit anong weeks pa is matatawag na tao na yun. Ang pinagkaabilang nila is yung stage ng growth. Kasi ang baby ng 8 weeks is may heartbeat na, may brain activity and basic body structure. Pag 18 weeks or 28 weeks, parang mas na-develop pa or mas na-develop and mas functional pa. And pag sabi din dito kasi pag ang sperm and egg nag-unite, nag-form ito ng zygote egg. Develop ang zygote, di na pumapasok yung mga different stages. Yung mga germinal, embryonic, and fetal. Pero mamaya, madidiscuss or matatakal ng mga ka-groupmates here. So, meron pa tayong second bullet or number 2. Sabi dito, human life begins from the moment of conception. All that we have and all that we are have been there at the moment of conception. So, meaning, ang buhay, hindi nag-start kung nasa womb ka ng nanay mo, womb or pinanganak ka. Nag-start dito. It already begins at the moment na yung egg and sperm nag-unite or nag-combine or nag-meet. Dun na. Because that's when a human life starts forming. May isang film na nabasa ko sa libro din sa library. Sabi dun, yung film is about abortion. Ang pamagat ata ng film is The Silent Scream. When yung nanay is pumunta siya sa medical doctor para magpa-abort. Bali yung nasa tiyan na is 3rd month or 3rd month na niya na pagbubuntis or yung pregnancy. when yung abortionist, yung doktor, nag-insert siya ng scalpel, yung parang yung sa ginagamit sa mga sa tiyan or sa sinapupunan ng babae, yung buntis, para i-crush, parang patayin or i-crush yung head ng fetus. Sa film, makikita mo clearly na yung fetus may mouth na. Yung mouth niya is naka-open. Parang like, he, hindi ko alam kung babae laki. He was screaming for help. Kasi nga, di ba, ginanon yung scalpel. Isipin mo yung scalpel, ginanon sa sinapupun, parang sa lower body ng isang babae. Yan, mamamatay talaga yung fetus. Yung fetus kasi yung paglabas, makikita daw sa film, is parang naka-open yung mouth niya. Like, he was screaming for help. Kaya daw, ang pamagat or ang title ng film is The Silent Scream, kasi pag ng fetus is yung mouth niya is naka-open. This only means na that developing being in the womb is a human being. Tao na. Kahit ilang weeks pa yan or ilang month, is matatawag ng tao. Kaya nga, based on these facts is mali talaga ang abortion. Sabi nga nila, ang sinapupunan ng nanay is the safest place to be. Pero ang ginagawa ng iba is nagpapa-abort na lang. Yun lang. So the next reporter is Miss Danica Macaraeg.
Ayan, so yung topic naman po natin sa ngayon, the next topic is all about the germinal period. Ito po yung first to 2 weeks after the conception. Okay po, yung sa germinal stage naman po, it begins at the conception. So, ibig sabihin, sa fallopian tube pa lang, okay, nagsasama na yung sperm at egg para maging zygote po. And so the zygote begins its journey to the uterus. Ayan, so habang nagtatravel na yan, nagtatravel na yung zygote, okay, dumadami agad yung cells niya via mitosis. Okay? So habang nagtatravel pala yung zygote, mas dumadami na yung cells niya via mitosis. Kumbaga, nagdodoble-doble yung cells or nagtitriple-triple yung cells or yung bilang po ng zygote. So habang dumadami po yung cells, nag-iiba na sila ng bawat role po nila. So some cells will become, tinatawag po natin siyang trophoblast. Opo. Tinatawag po siyang trophoblast. Ibig sabihin, ito yung magiging placenta. Okay? So, habang dumadami, ulitin ko po, habang dumadami po yung cells, nagkakaroon na po sila ng iba't ibang role. Okay? So, some cells will become tinatawag po natin, trophoblast. Okay? So, sila po yung magiging placenta. Compare naman dun sa iba, yung outer na kung saan cells, sila po yung bumubuo as embryo. Okay? So, in short, the germinal period is all about the zygote forming. Okay? So, yung germinal period pala, it is all about kung paano na-form po yung zygote. It's about traveling. Okay? Kung paano nag-travel yung zygote at kung paano din nag-multiply yung zygote. And it's starting to become something specific. Yun po yung tinatawag po nating placenta or embryo. Naman, second slide. So, yun, after po mag-multiply, okay? After mag-multiply yung cells, okay? Yung growing mass po na yun, is tinatawag po na blastocyst. Ayan. So, kapag nagmultiply yung cells, okay, yung bilang po, yung growing mass ng cells, tinatawag na po siyang blastocyst. Okay? Tinatawag na po siyang blastocyst. So, imagine, it is a tiny ball. Okay? Imagine nyo po yung cells na yun. It is a tiny ball of cells, okay, na merong 3 important parts or 3 important layers. Okay? So, ito po yung 3 important layers. 3. Okay? So, 3 important layers po. Una, meron po tayong tinatawag na ectoderm. Ulitin ko po, una, tinatawag po siyang ectoderm. Unang layer. Ito po yung outer layer po ng cells. Okay, so sa layer po na yon, doon po nabubuo yung skin natin. Okay, so tandaan nyo po, sa outer layer na tinatawag na ectoderm, doon po nabubuo yung skin po natin. Okay, so hindi lang po yung skin, but even po yung nervous system. Okay, nandun na po yung brain, spinal cord, at saka mga nerves. Okay, so unang layer po is outer layer. Doon po nagsisimula yung skin at ang nervous system. Okay, that is ectoderm. Okay, pangalawa, we have the endoderm. Okay, so hindi ko siya masyadong kabisado kaya may binabasa ako. And so, kapag sinabi naman po natin endoderm, ito po yung the inner layer. Ito po yung nasa loob, the inner layer. So, dito po na manggagaling, okay, yung digestive system po natin. So, dito po sa part na to, or sa layer na to, na kung saan endoderm, dito po na nanggagaling yung ating digestive system. Naroon po yung stomach po natin, at saka mga intestines. Okay, so pati na rin po doon yung respiratory system po natin. Doon po siya nanggagaling sa endoderm. Ulitin ko po, sa endoderm, it is sa inner layer ng cells na yun na kung saan doon nabubuo yung respiratory system at saka digestive system ng isang tao. And that is endoderm. And last one, the mesoderm. The last layer ng cells na tinutukoy ko. It is the middle layer. Ito yung pinaka-gitna, pinaka-nasa loob ng layer na po iyon. Okay, so from here, okay po, sa mesoderm, okay, sa mesoderm po, from here, nabubuo na po yung muscles natin. Okay? Sa mesoderm po, doon na nabubuo yung mesoderm. Doon na po nabubuo yung muscles natin. At even po yung mga skeletal system, just like bones. Okay? So, tandaan nyo po, sa mesoderm, doon nabubuo yung mga skeletal system po natin at yung ating mga muscle. Okay? And that is mesoderm. So, what is the 3 layers? 3 important layers po ng isang cells. Una is the ectoderm. Doon po nabubuo yung skin. Okay? At saka mga nervous system. Pangalawa, the endoderm. Okay? The inner layer po ng cells. So, dito po manggagaling yung ating digestive system at saka respiratory system. And the lastly, the mesoderm. From here po, nabubuo yung tinatawag po nating muscle at saka mga skeletal bones po or skeletal system po. And that is 3 important layers. Ayan. So, yun. Once yung blastocyst, okay, or yung tiny ball na kung saan tinutukoy ko po kanina, meron 3 important na layers, okay, that yung tiny ball of cells po na yun, kapag dumikit na po yun successfully sa wall, okay, ng uterus mo, or sa uterus ng isang babae, that's when things really start to change, okay? So, kapag nakamit niya na, nakapunta na siya doon sa wall ng uterus, okay, yung tiny ball of cells, okay, nakapunta na doon sa wall ng uterus, doon na po mag-start na makaka-feel ng pagbabago sa isang babae. Okay? So, una na mararanasan niyang changes is the hormonal changes. Okay? So, nagkakaroon po ng pagbabago pagdating po sa hormone ng isang babae. Okay? So, kaya dito po, mapapansin po natin na kunwari, nabuntis ka, ganyan, nang hindi mo pa alam. Once na hindi ka na po dinatnan, natigil na yung menstruation mo, it is the first sign that you are pregnant. Okay? Kapag na-start na po na kung saan tumigil yung menstruation mo. That's why, doon mo malalaman that you are pregnant po. Okay? The earliest signs of pregnancy is pagtigil po ng menstruation ng isang babae. Okay? So, yun po yung una na kung saan ma-feel or mararanasan ng changes ng isang babae sa kanyang katawan. Okay? Pangalawa, change in preferences. Okay? So, may mga activities or mga nakasanayan tayong ginagawa na kung saan parang bigla-bigla na lang siyang nagbabago. Or parang naaalis na yung hilig mo na gawin yung bagay na yun. For example, okay, sa pagkakape, dati mahilig ka magkape. Pero dahil, buntis ka, ganun, nag-start na kung sa magbago yung preference mo sa bagay na yun. Kung dati mahilig ka magkape, ngayon parang ayaw mo na, naasiwa ka na. Pangalawa, dati smoker ka. Smoke with, kahit nasan ka, smoke. Pero, once that you are pregnant, doon mo malalaman na kung saan or mararanasan yung pagbabago pagdating po doon sa mga preference po ng isang tao. Okay? So, this is because your body, okay, is adjusting to protect the developing life inside of you. Okay? Kaya nangyayari yung mga bagay-bagay na yung pagbabago na to. It is because meron ka ng yung katawan mo mismo ang nag-a-adjust para protektahan yung life or developing life dyan sa loob ng tiyan mo. Okay? So, that is the germinal period. Thank you!
In the second stage of prenatal development, which is embryonic period, 2 to 8 weeks after conception or starting week 3. So, dito, sabi niya, this is the stage when the fertilized egg becomes an embryo. Major organs begin to form, brain development starts, and life support systems like placenta, umbilical cord, and amnion begin to develop. So, sa stage na to is yung mga major organs is nabubuo na. Like brain, nagde-develop na yung pagbuo ng brain and life support system like yung placenta, umbilical cord, and amnion. And at this point, the group of cell is now called an embryo. Diba sa germinal stage, ang doon sila is para lang silang bilog na mga cell. Pero dito sa may embryonic period is doon na unti-unting nabubuo and nagiging embryo. So this stage is very important because the brain begins to develop. During this stage, sabi dyan, the following developments take place. Letter A is the cell differentiation intensifies. So, sa letter A, they start to take on different jobs like building skin, nerves, or organs. And letter B, life support system for the embryo to develop. Support system form like placenta, umbilical cord, and amnion begin to develop to keep the embryo alive. And letter C, organs appear. Yung mga organs is start appearing like the early shape of heart, brain, and the other organs begin to form. So, here is that embryonic cell layers. We have 3, ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So sa ectoderm is siya yung nagme-make ng brain, nerves, senses like eyes, ears, nose, and skin parts like hair and nails. And the second one is mesoderm. Sa mesoderm naman is siya yung nagme-make ng heart, blood, bones, muscles, kidneys, and reproductive organs. And the last one is endoderm, makes the stomach, intestines, and lungs. So sabi dyan is this early organ formulation is called organogenesis. So organogenesis, the stage when the embryo organs start forming. Like yung tatlong yan sila yung nagpo-form dun sa may organ para dun sa embryo. It happens during the first 2 months of pregnancy or the 2 to 8 weeks after conception. So, still in embryonic period, embryo support systems. Life support system of the embryo as the layers form. Support system develop. Number 1 is placenta, connects mother and embryo via blood cells, no direct mixing. So, sa placenta, siya yung nagkukonnect sa mother and the baby. Siya yung nagpapas ng food and oxygen, pero yung blood nila does not mix. So, number 2 is umbilical cord, 2 arteries and 1 vein link embryo to placenta. So, umbilical cord naman is para siyang lifeline. Has 2 arteries and 1 vein to carry nutrients and waste. And the last one is amnion. Fluid-filled sac where embryo floats. Yung amnion naman is para siyang a protective bag filled with fluid and yung baby is nagpo-float siya safely inside. Thank you.
So let's proceed to fetal period. So, umpisan natin sa 2 months. So, sa 2 buwan na pagbubuntis, ang sanggol ay embryo pa at may sukat na halos 1 to 2 cm. Nabubuo ang mga bahagi ng mukha at tumitibok ang mga puso at unti-unti nang nabubuo ang mga pangunahing organ tulad ng baga at atay. So next, 3 buwan na pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa 3 buwan, nagiging mas kahawig ng tao ang itsura ng sanggol. Gumagalaw na ito sa loob ng tiyan kahit hindi pa nararamdaman ng ina. Nabubuo niya rin ang mga mukha, mata, bibig, ilong at kasarian. Next is 4 na buwan pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa 4 na buwan, mas lumalaki at lumalakas ang sanggol. Nagsisimula na itong mag-inat, tumadyak at igalaw ang mga braso at binti. Dito unang nararamdaman ng ina ang paggalaw ng kanyang sanggol na tinatawag na quickening. So next, let's proceed to the 5 months. 5 buwan pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa 5 buwan, mas malinaw na ang anyo ng sanggol. Nabubuo na ang balat, buhok at mga kuko. Nagsisimula na rin itong makarinig ng mga tunog mula sa labas at tumutugon sa mga haplos. So next is 6 na buwan pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa 6 na buwan, mas nagiging aktibo ang sanggol. Bumubukas at pumipikit na ang mga mata nito at marunong nang humawak. Nagsasanay din ito sa paghinga, paggalaw bilang paghanda sa kapanganakan. So next is 7 months. 7 buwan pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa 7 buwan, mas handa na ang sanggol mabuhay kahit maagang ipanganak. Mas mabilis ang paggalaw nito at tumutugon sa tunog, liwanag at haplos. Patuloy ding lumalakas ang umuunlad ang mga organo nito tulad ng baga at utak. So last is this 8 to 9 months. 8 hanggang 9 na period pagkatapos ng pagbubuntis. Sa huling 2 buwan, pinaghahandaan ng sanggol ang kanyang paglabas. Tumataba ito at nabubuo ang taba sa ilalim ng balat para makatulong sa init ng katawan. Ganap nang gumagana ang mga organo, kaya handa na itong ipanganak.
So today, proceed naman na tayo sa teratology and hazard prenatal development. Teratology is study of abnormal development, congenital defects. Pinag-aaralan dito if bakit or ano nga ba yung mga causes kung bakit may mga babies na pinapanganak na may problem sa kanilang katawan and if ano nga ba yung mga bagay na nakakasama during the pregnancy. So, ano nga ba ang prescription and non-prescription drugs? So, the first one is prescription drugs. These are medication na required ng prescription ng doktor to be purchased. Ginagamit siya sa more serious health condition na kailangan ng doctor supervision to ensure properly dosage and para maiwasan ang misuse or harmful side effects. Example dito is antibiotic that can be harmful. Next naman is non-prescription drugs or over-the-counter drugs. Ito naman is yung gamot na hindi na kailangan ng prescription ng doktor para mabili kasi pwede mo siya mabili sa pharmacy or sa kahit saan na hindi na kailangan ng prescription ng doktor. But kahit na generally considered safe and effective siya for minor health problem when used according to the level direction, is pwede pa rin siya mag-cause ng health problem if mali yung paggamit mo. And example dyan, sa non-prescription drugs that can be harmful are diet pills, aspirin, and coffee.
Good day everyone, I am Mary Kate Ascension and our next topic for today is psychoactive drugs. So first, what is psychoactive drugs? Psychoactive drugs are chemicals that affects how brain works, influencing our mood, thoughts, and actions. This includes nicotine, caffeine, and illegal drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, and heroin. Next is research finding. Pregnant women who drink more caffeinated coffee were more likely to have preterm deliveries and newborn with lower birth rate compared to those who did not. So in short, yung mga buntis na umiinom ng caffeinated coffee is may mataas na posibilidad na sila ay manganak ng maaga at magkaroon ng mababang timbang ang kanilang mga anak compared sa mga buntis na hindi umiinom ng caffeinated coffee. So next is fatal alcohol syndromes. So ano nga bang fatal alcohol syndromes? Ito ay isang kondisyon na nangyayari sa sanggol habang ang kanilang mga ina ay umiinom ng halak habang sila ay buntis. So, pwede silang magkaroon ng facial deformities, defecting lips, and face and height, and growth and developmental problems. So, para mas maiwasan natin ang magkaroon ng ganitong sakit, ay dapat iwasan natin ng mga alcohol and lahat ng psychoactive drugs para magkaroon tayo ng healthy baby.
Okay, our next topic is about environmental hazards. These are harmful in the environment that affect the baby's development. No? Example dito is mga radiation, toxic waste, pollution, extreme heat. These are the things around us that can hurt the baby inside the mother. For example, ang isang nanay ay nakakahinga ng mga dirty air na makaka-apekto sa pag-growth ng bata. No? Sabi nga din yung radiation, toxic waste, pollution, and extreme heat ay mga bagay, some dangerous things that can harm the baby. Yung sabi ko, kung isang nanay ay naglalakad sa polluted area, sa daan, ay maamoy niya yung mga usok ng mga sakyan na dahilan upang maapektuhan yung bata. Yung radiation naman, pag early pregnancy pa siya or mga 2 weeks, 2 weeks yung baby, bawal sa kanya, bawal ang nanay na mag-x-ray kasi maana siya ng radiation. Kasi radiation is very harmful sa bata pag ito ay nag-uumpisa pa lang na lumaki, mabuo. Ganyan, no? And next slide naman tayo is about effects of environmental hazards. So, ano nga ba ang mga effects? Number 1, una dyan is can cause birth defects and mental problems in babies. These dangers can cause the baby to have physical learning difficulties. Diba? Makakakuha yung pag ang nanay ay maapektuhan or ma-expose sa mga chemical na lugar or chemical na bagay or chemical na lugar, pwede itong pwedeng magkaroon yung bata ng learning difficulties or learning disabilities dahil sa mga chemical or mga defects and mental problems, no? Sa nanay pag ito ay na-expose. And pangalawa, too much heat may harm the fetus. Okay, being ma-expose yung nanay sa mainit matagal or for hours, ganyan, can affect the baby. If a pregnant woman, no, staying under the hot sun can harm the baby. Diba? Kaya bawal silang expose sa init ng matagal. And pangatlo is pregnant women should avoid X-rays, pollution, and toxic areas. Pregnant women are advised to avoid radiation, polluted areas, and toxic environments because this can harm both the mother and the developing baby. No? Exposure to strong radiation like X-ray can damage the baby's developing cells. No, pinapabagal niyang pag-growth ng bata, diba? Early pregnancy is sensitive because the major organs are forming. No. Next is polluted areas. Polluted environment, especially those with smoke, heavy traffic, factories, or dirty air, can expose pregnant women to harmful particles and chemicals. Because this can reduce oxygen flow to the baby, affect the development of lungs and brains, increase the risk of low weight ng bata. And last, the toxic areas. Toxic places often have chemical such as pesticides, cleaning agents, paglinis nyo, fumes, and industrial waste. This substance can cross the placenta and reach the baby, interfere with normal growth and organ development, cause developmental delays or congenital effects. If harm the mother's health, which also affect the baby, because developing baby is extremely sensitive, no? Especially in the first trimester. So avoiding harmful environments protects both the mother and the child, leading to a healthier pregnancies. So it should be avoided. No. And that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Shinlan Odisana and I'm gonna discuss about other maternal factors and paternal factors. So first is other maternal factors. A developing fetus depends entirely on his mother for nutrition. It is recognized that maternal malnutrition during pregnancy may result to inadequate growth of the fetus. One aspect of maternal nutrition that has emerged is folic acid. Lack of folic acid in the mother's diet leads to a birth defect of the brain and the spinal cord. High anxiety and stress in the mother are linked with less than optimal prenatal and birth outcomes. The maternal age period can lead to problems before the offspring development. Adolescents age 30 and above, older. Okay, so we have two symptoms or illness that affect the baby before born. Okay, first is rubella or called German measles. Can be harmful. Yes, it can. So ito po ay dumadaloy sa dugo mo and can be inherited to baby while di pa siya sinisilang. Second is syphilis or genital herpes and AIDS are other teratogens. So what is teratogen? Sabi dito sa na-search kong context, teratogen is actually, teratogen is right and important to emphasize maternal functions, infections. So, sinasabi niya dito, teratogen is one of the rubella. Rubella is yung sinabi ko kanina, German measles, okay, syphilis, and herpes or HIV. Because those pose a clear direct to the fetus if maternal infections occurs during pregnancy. Okay. Yun po yung sinasabi nila dito. Unlike maternal infection, which directly expose the fetus, placenta, or during birth. Okay. So, yun po ang sinasabi niya. During birth, dun po may effect ang teratogen. So in short for that, maternal factors are conditions or exposures in the mother such as infections, illness, harmful substances that can directly affect the health of development and the unborn baby. So, dako naman tayo sa paternal factors. Our paternal factors here, paternal factors that can adversely affect prenatal development include exposure to lead, radiation, certain pesticides, and petrochemicals. Older fathers also may place their offsprings at risk for certain defects. So, sinasabi dito sa paternal age matters. Advanced paternal age or fathers older than 44 above has been associated with a modest increase in risk of congenital anomalies of offspring, especially chromosomes anomalies. So, paternal obesity, health at conception may matter. For many paternal exposures naman, dun yung mga drugs, medications, and chemicals na maaaring dumaloy sa sperm at parang inherited siya, ganun. Dadaloy siya sa sperm and goes to the egg and in the ovary of a female, and it's genetic siya. Okay? So, yung galing sa father is mapupunta siya sa woman. That's it. The paternal. So, there are limited or insufficient evidence to definitely link them to fetal birth defects. For example, a large study on paternal use for certain medication found no increased rate of congenital anomalies among their children. So next is why paternal factors are more complicated than maternal ones. Sperm versus direct fetal exposure. A father does not directly share a blood connection with the fetus. Substances in a father's bloodstream generally don't reach the fetus. So yung paternal, hindi siya directly. Parang inherited siya, ganun. Ang paternal, it came from the father. While maternal naman po is actually is the, what do you call that again? Maternal is directly. Parang yung sa, okay, maternal is directly came from your mother o kung sino ang nagdadala sa bata. So, the mother is, kunwari, she's have a, meron siyang sakit and it's go flowing the blood papunta sa kanyang dinadala, the unborn baby. That's it. So, why paternal factors are more complicated than maternal ones nga, sabi niya. So, this is changes are often in sperm quality or genetics, epigenetics, which may affect fertilization, embryo quality, risk for certain anomalies, but these effects tend to be subtle or statistically modest. Compared to maternal teratogens, maternal mediated risks have been less studied. Many associations remain uncertain or not replicated. So, dito naman tayo sa teratogen discussion. Paternal health should not be ignored, especially paternal age. Sabi nga nila yung paternal age is the 44 above the fathers, okay? We have this, the obesity, substance use, occupational or environmental exposures because they are growing evidence. This can influence fertility, embryo quality, and possibly increase risk of malformation or other adverse outcomes. So, yung paternal health, ito po yung came from the father, like yung, kunwari, yung kanyang ni-intake and then dumadali sa kanyang dugo and goes to the sperm, okay? And while the maternal naman is directly. So, yung paternal, hindi siya directly. Ang maternal, directly. Maternal is came from the woman. O yung sakit ng, kunwari is yung sakit niya or yung stress or depression came from her, dadaloy sa bata. It can affect the baby. So, yun lamang po and thank you for listening.